Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our session today. We ask for your continued grace and presence to be with us. Make all things clear for our understanding. At this time, this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome to our Monday Night Live. And our topic of focus today is on say no to tobacco, alcohol, caffeine, cocoa, and more. And what are we going to say no to? So we're going to cover a couple principles and see that by God's grace, we're able to gain some better understanding in these areas, that you would be able to, help yourself as well as someone in and around you. Just welcome. I'm talking to you from Pure Wellness Lifestyle Center, located all the way in Trinidad and Tobago. We have starting this week our medical missionary training. And this is a training where individuals can learn about health principles that governs the human body. And as you learn these helpful principles, you will therefore be able to apply them better to yourselves, as well as to share the message with someone and help them to understand and be able to make the changes. Many times individuals want to live healthier, they want to do better, but they just don't know how. And therefore, the session and the training will give you those tools as to how to share that information. It also opens up your sphere for ministry in that you feel more equipped. You will be more equipped with different tools, so that as you minister to people, you go to the health fairs, you go down the street from your home, from your church, in your community, you meet someone with some health challenge, you have a word that you can share with them more. It's good to pray for individuals, but then what next? And a lot of folks are recognizing this is quite important because we have a number of sick individuals with us. As the world grows older and wax older, you find that sickness and disease, it was indicated as to be one of the signs for the end of time. And so it's a study that's quite relevant. Do contact us to be able to be a part of this. The practical sessions for those who are on location in Trinidad will be able to gain so much more as you literally learn the hands-on. Next week, Sunday, we will be meeting for early and to do our cooking classes, food demonstrations, as well as menu planning, food combination on that day. And when individuals come early, they're going to prepare their meals. So for breakfast and for lunch. So I'm quite excited about that because, that food going to taste so good and you would see how easy it is to put together. So this is our training video, promotion video.
The Lord Jesus is our example. He came to the world as a servant of mankind. He went from city to city, from village to village, teaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing the sick. Christ spent more time in healing than in teaching. We have come to a time when every member of the church should take hold of the medical missionary role. So why not join us? Gospel Medical Missionary Training, empowering you for ministry.
Okay, I'm not too sure question. Did you all hear anything in that video when it was played? Because last week I heard that I played something and then it was no volume, so I wasn't sure. If you just let me know in the chat, did you hear? Music, talking. Okay. All right. Because I have some other videos to show this evening. Oh, okay. Excellent. Wonderful. Okay,
So
thank you. Yes.
I can't get into my chat, so I just want to let you know that I did hear it loud and clear.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Wonderful. So let's move on. We also have coming up, again, we did this for Carnival, and there's a long weekend coming up for those of you who are here in Trinidad and Tobago. And because the last time we did have some folks come across from Tobago, so it's always wonderful to have our sister Isle participating. And therefore, we have another session this Easter weekend, and it promises to be equally exciting and even better and better. So you really don't want to miss this. So you can simply connect with us to sign up, and we will be posting this out into our WhatsApp group for Pure Wellness WhatsApp group. And come and you want to get away. But it's not just about getting away. It's fun, it's relaxing, but there's also an educational aspect, which is, the feedback from the last time where it was really meaningful. The folks thoroughly enjoyed that engaging session. And so we look forward to sharing this with you again. So it's another option, another way of joining us and visiting us here at the center and gaining so much that we have to offer. Just to give you a sneak peek reminder of what it was like. That's our worship session out on the poolside on the Friday evening. Mind you, the food in this session is altogether a bit different from the normal segments. So more quite tasty. Yeah, this is our juice day, cleansing day. Fun and activities. Coconut dumpling, that was really a hit. And veggie saltfish. And we did have an evening of sip and paint. So everyone, daring, coming out to show their art skills. We have giveaways too, so it's quite exciting. Okay, all right. Okay, so wonderful. So do make sure to join. All right, so our topic this evening, we take you through looking at saying no, but just to highlight the fact that diet and lifestyle do play a role in our health. And therefore, when we think about disease, there is always a cause. So when we look at our lifestyle or our diet, it could be going in the wrong direction, where you find obesity, setting in heart diseases, arthritis, other kinds of situation, inflammation, increasing poor blood circulation, a host of the conditions that could be long-term. However, we need to make a change and go in the other direction, get back into the green and improve our health. And it is possible. The only thing is that we need to understand and to know how to do that, how to make the changes. And this evening, we're going to cover a couple areas where we need to put up that hand and say no. So now usually you will hear the say no term to say no to violence, say no to drugs. But today we want to look at saying no to alcohol, saying no to tobacco. Why? And cover some of those aspects. So if we think about our diet and lifestyle pretty much influencing the outcomes, when we see a disease, it's not just that. There is an underlying segment to it. So those are fruits of the tree of our lives. If we were to put that in a graphic form, and these fruits we may be bearing. You might have stroke, diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure, cholesterol values being elevated, fibroids, asthma, constipation, indigestion. A number of those things can be your story. Know that it is the life that we live. It is a world in which we live that we know sickness. In heaven, there is no sickness. There is no sin. And therefore, sin brings about illness, sickness. And here's a statement coming from a lovely book of textbook we use. It's called Counsels on Diets and Foods. And it says, the continual transgression of man for 6,000 years has brought about sickness, pain, and death as its fruits. And many times, these conditions can be fatal. We want to change that around and instead bear the fruits of wellness, of wholeness, where you have a sharp memory, where you have peace and joy and cheerfulness and health and pain no more, aches and pains no more. That's the type of life that we want to have. Just to remind you that disease, it's really an effort of nature to free our body system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. When there are certain things that we consume and do that creates inflammation in the body, that is inflammation there, yeah. But what happens is the body is trying to get rid of it, and in some form, it might lodge that inflammation in your joints and you have joint pain. It might lodge it within your fat cells and you put on weight. So it's really an effort of nature to free your body system from these conditions when you have violated these health laws. And so what are the laws? Pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, proper abstemiousness, rest, proper exercise, proper diet, the use of water, both internally and externally, and trust in divine power. These are the true remedies that we're looking at. Now, we want to look at temperate in all things, and how can that be? There are some practices, some habits that we need to make a change. And therefore, 1 Corinthians 9:25 says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Cast away. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. So when we have the temperance, the moderation, the balance, it says in all things. we will be able to achieve and get that crown that God has for us. True temperance teaches us to dispense entirely with everything hurtful and to use judiciously that which is helpful. So this is very important because there are times that you will hear a particular item in nature is good for certain conditions. However, you will learn and know that that particular item can also cause bad for us. And therefore, we want to be cautious, be on that line where we are taking that which is all good, which is helpful, and using it even moderately. And that which is hurtful, we want to leave it alone. In order to preserve our health, we need to be temperate in all things. It is necessary for us to be temperate in our labor, in our eating, in our drinking, in our sleeping, in our relationships. There is a time and place for everything under the sun. 1 Corinthians 10:31, therefore, whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. Now, what about smoking, vaping? Is that something that we want to engage in? We find that there is a drive by the World Health Organization, and many countries across the world have taken on the smoke-free environment because they have recognized its impact on the health of children, on mothers, on babies, and the vulnerable in our society. Smoking is a personal choice, but it is a public impact, because if you smoke in the presence of others, you are infecting them with affecting them with your smoked cigarette and all the toxins that comes in that puff out of you. So it is more beyond the individual themselves. It is out there, and we need to guard ourselves. And so you find a lot of smoke-free policies are being implemented and rules coming up because folks are recognizing that we are hurting each other in this space. Now, some individuals would say, well, I'm not smoking, I am vaping. So is there a difference? And is one better than the other? Vaping, what is that? So we know cigarette smoking, you're smoking a cigarette, and that cigarette contains thousands of chemicals, including those which can have carcinogenic compounds affecting our heart, our lungs, and also it contains tar and carbon monoxide. Vaping, on the other hand, is the result of an aerosol that is sort of sucked in and puffed out. It's a bit different from the tobacco smoke. However, it still contains some chemicals in there at a low, similar to the tobacco smoking on the cigarettes, but at a lower level. And it does not produce tar and carbon monoxide like the cigarettes would, but it still has the potential to be harmful. And therefore, vaping is another area that many people are getting into, especially our young individuals are getting into this. If we were to take a look at what exactly is in a cigarette, you have over 4,000 different chemicals that have been identified in tobacco smoke. Look at cadmium coming from batteries, nicotine as an insecticide bug spray. You have ammonia, which is a toilet cleaner. You have methanol, which is a rocket fuel, found in rocket fuel. Carbon monoxide, arsenic, poisonous, methane, sewer gas, and and the list goes on, acetic acid vinegar, so and more. So all of these things are all combined in this stick that when you put it on fire and you burn that and you inhale it, individuals get a high. They tend to have, a calm disposition. They say that they feel great about it, and they are also hooked by the sensation, and they keep on with that. Now, this is a picture of a healthy lungs versus a smoker's lung from the cigarette smoking. And you can see the tar deposits literally on the lungs. It can be there so gluey and thick, and that can hamper the function of the lungs. Tobacco can also damage the DNA in our men for the sperm cells. So the DNA in the sperm cells can be damaged. You find that they may not have sufficient sperm cells. Their sperm count may be low, and creating a reduction in our population. Now, does it affect the children? Certainly does, because fathers who smoke more than 10 cigarettes a day, they increase their risk of childhood cancer malignancy by 31%. And if fathers smoke 20 cigarettes and more in a day, that's about a pack and more in one day, they increase the risk of childhood cancers by 42%. And so the poor young ones are at risk. They fall sick, they're in the hospitals, they have cancer. What about someone who's a secondhand smoker? Is that you? Are you a secondhand smoker where there is someone close to you in your home, in your office environment who smokes, whom you travel with, and that cigarette smoke you inhale it, and that could affect you just the same. So it's called secondhand smoke. You're not the one who is puffing it out, but you're breathing it in. What about third-hand smoke? That is where the smoke deposits can fall onto furniture, door handles, bed sheets, and so forth. And then you interact with those materials. It is going to come on to you, and you can be affected by this smoke. And to the point where you can have respiratory issues, and you can even have lung cancer. So it is real, and therefore that's why the authorities are taking a stand for more smoke-free environments. Now, back in the day, you would have found that tobacco was put forward as an item for individuals to smoke, and that it would help with many health issues and so forth. But they've still since come away from that and put up the disclaimer and the notification rather that this pack of cigarettes contains chemicals, cancer-causing agents, that it can cause cancer. But we'll have a look at that and see what the authorities are doing and how we can support by doing some more. So does smoking affect people? Yes, it does. And consider not only the one who has that cigarette in his or her hand, but the one who is getting the second-hand smoke, as well as the third-hand smoke, as having a potential for these issues here. So internally, it can increase your risk of cancer, increase your risk of heart disease, plaque in the arteries, heart issues, hypertension, high cholesterol levels, diabetes, etc. It can increase your risk for respiratory issues. It can weaken your immune system. All these poisons coming in is not going to treat you kindly. Then it can damage the lungs. Look at the picture of the lung with the tar on it. What is that doing to the lungs? reducing its capacity, reducing its function for you to experience cleaner air and oxygen within your bloodstream. It accelerates aging. The body tends to be more dry. The skin can be more wrinkled and you can look older than you are. It impacts others. It's not just the smoker, but those in the space around him or her. It can cause a reduced quality of life. And it can shorten the lifespan because it's shown that individuals who smoke can have a 10-year reduction in their lifespan. So here's a little key pointer as for what you can do. And if you were smoking and you got that urge, you will want to make this little mixture that can help. It's not going to stop and say you get shut down from smoking, but it's going to stop the urge for smoking. All right, decrease your urge for smoking. So when you get an urge, take 1 tablespoon of this mixture, swish it around in your mouth, and then you can swallow it. So it's gonna taste quite sharp and strong, but it's 3/4 cup of fresh lemon juice, 1/4 cup of honey, and lemon and honey could be okay, good, but then you're gonna add some peppermint to that. And peppermint can have this lingering flavor in the mouth, and you will not think of occupying it with the tobacco. 1/3 teaspoon of peppermint oil. So it's these mixed together in a glass container, keep it refrigerated, and you will just take 1 tablespoon every time the urge strikes. All right, so I just want to show you something here. I had this. Okay. All right, I'm just going to switch the screen a little bit. Show you a little video on smoking and its impact on our society and what we can do to help.
Even on secrets, you might be able to figure it out on your own, but not everyone does. Over the years, many have bought into it without even knowing. That's right. They tell us stories to make us feel good. Time goes by, people change, but it's still there. The same old story. Not just look different. They even try to make it sound like they have healthier alternatives. They use unseen strategies. As dark agendas. And every year, 8 million people in early grave. But the real secret is that it doesn't end there. The industry persists. It grows aggressively, like the diseases it causes. And every year, it creates 8 million new gaps in the market, and it doesn't care who fills them. Even if it's
someone like me.
The tobacco industry is targeting children and adolescents to replace the 8 million people their products kill each year. Speak out. Tobacco exposed.
All right, so we are encouraged to speak out and say no. Say no to tobacco. So wonderful. Let's just go back to our screen. Right, so it's not something to take lightly, and it does affect the lives of individuals. Some time ago, I was working with someone who came here to the center, and I continue to work with that individual. But the thing is, once the damage is done to the lungs, there is nothing that you can really do because there is this structural damage to the lungs. So was this gentleman, he was in his 70s at the time, but from his youth smoked because he saw others around him. He did say that many times, you know, elder persons will say to him, stop smoking, don't do it. But he never listened to them, didn't think about what the end of this would look like. And he would smoke like about 40 cigarettes every day, 2 packs, 40 cigarettes every day for 40 something years. And what happened is that he developed shortness of breath. It was soon diagnosed as being COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, and where he had difficulty to breathe, just even to walk a couple steps. Like about 10, 20 steps, he got to the point breathless. And but with the diet changes, with you know, a calm atmosphere and everything, we saw him whilst he was here at the center be able to walk a bit longer in a more comfortable space, and you know, that his breathing was not that heavy. Additionally, sometimes he would sit and just have, you know, these shortness of breath, but he had more times and most times of being so calm and peaceful with the diet changes, with drinking more water, played a huge role, you know, to keep hydrated, and getting the fresh air, practicing deep breathing and breathing techniques so that he's able to control the breathing, not too quick breaths, but calm, you know, and consistent breathing, timing, and also building a closer relationship with God, getting good sleep at night. All of those factors played a role in how the person fared. Now, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a 5-day quitting program for smoking. It's called Breathe Free. And that program is phenomenal, and it does help and make a difference. So what you find to increase vitamin C when you're quitting, in that quitting phase within your 5-day program, increase beta carotene. So we would do things like carrot juices on a daily basis, supporting the health of the liver and the lungs. You can use a tea like mullein tea. One of the things is that as the lungs begin to get clearer, you find that film will start coming up, and mullein is going to help to promote that film or even cause you to excrete it out of your bowels, that mucus type situation that would be wanting to be expelled from your lungs. And so with that healthy diet and lifestyle, we have seen has yielded tremendous results, and with a promise for keeping folks off the tobacco and of cigarette smoking, as well as vaping smoking. So don't go to vaping. If you stop cigarette, it's going to cause the same harm to the body. And therefore, these are some of the tools that are available for us to help each other. Second aspect is to look at alcohol drinking. And here we are going to say no to alcohol. Now, alcohol is not food. All right, let's understand. It's something that you just have. Okay, it isn't food. It doesn't protect you from a cold. It doesn't cure anything, and it doesn't improve our relationships. It can just, you know, downgrade it and cause a lot of problems, even in the home. How many drunkards you know have issues in their home? You know, from the children and the wife and the money that they're spending in the rum shop, as opposed to taking that home for the groceries or just to pay the bills or to cover the expenses for transportation for the children, for their books, their uniforms and everything. If that money is spent on the substance, the alcohol, then you have problems. All right, so let's see what goes on here. The effects of alcohol consumption. Now, externally, it can cause us to get into vehicular accidents because our judgment is impaired. Have you ever seen a drunkard person walk? In fact, that's one of the tests that the police will do if they called you over and suspect that your breath smells like you have some alcohol on it. Walk the white line. And that individual may not be able to get it straight. So similarly, as they seek to drive, I remember one day we were driving and there was definitely a drunkard guy in front of us. He was just swaying in the road and we dare not seek to overpass him because that would have been dangerous and risky to do. So we just like waited it out until he veered off into a side street. So swaying from the left and the right can cause vehicular accidents, even deaths. It's a serious thing that you're not supposed to drink and drive. But let's go for not drinking at all. It can cause disability of individuals if they did get into an accident. Then job loss. Your job can be at risk for going to work drunk. You may have a job where it's huge on safety and they can't afford to have you, not being focused. It may cause loss of work performance. And because you're just sleeping on the job all the time or you're not coherent. Depression, anxiety, and fears are real for the drunkard and one who seeks to go to alcohol to try to quell stress in their life and other issues that are going on. They just make it worse. Then there is the aspect of abuse in the home, violence, delinquency that can take place, suicide, sexual assaults, mental health impairment, as though you can't remember, you have memory loss and so on. And then there's fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, where babies are challenged in their birth. Now, alcohol can affect even different organs. You have the brain, the stomach, the liver, the kidneys, the heart. All of these areas are impacted. It impairs your liver function because you can end up with fatty liver disease, just from drinking alcohol consistently over time. Then you find that the liver would not function well, and the liver is important as part of our digestive system, as part of cleaning our blood. Over 500 different functions the liver has in the body. Imagine, it's super important. Now, you can find that alcohol consumption can injure your small intestine. And stomach, which impairs absorption of many nutrients. I once had a client where he, over the Christmas season, had too much to drink. And it caused him to have stomach issues so much that he had this heartburn sensation that was excruciating for months on end. And he just was getting no break. It never stopped. It set in at that time too much alcohol and it just would not go away. So what we had to do was to put him on a health plan, put him on a total plant-based diet. We also took away certain items from his food consumption. We worked with him in terms of the timing of his meals and to reduce stress in his life. Add in a couple of things like probiotics, digestive enzymes, using slippery elm to calm and soothe that burning stomach, and other digestive items that we added in there. And within 4 to 6 weeks, he was relieved from that burning sensation, and the healing had come, and he was better thereafter. So, but it if your stomach and your small intestine is impaired, then you have difficulty with absorbing your food and you can lose weight. And that was one of his concerns, about going on a total plant diet, is that I don't want to lose more weight. Said, yeah, but you got to heal, so not suggesting that you go back, but there would have been some restrictions there. Now, fat-soluble vitamins are reduced for the uptake in our body, such as these fat-soluble vitamin A, D, E, and K. You find that it increases alcohol consumption, increases renal loss. Your kidneys tend to excrete zinc, calcium, magnesium more, and therefore your kidneys will be overworking. Your alcohol is known to impair the function of natural killer cells. So even your immune system can be targeted. That can put us at risk for cancer. There is a link between alcohol and cancer, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And this goes true for wine as well. Wine is a fermented item. So any item, that is fermented can cause problems, can cause this cancer. So I have another video to show you about how alcohol can cause cancer. So let me just stop the share and take you there. What?
We all know smoking causes cancer.
Just now. You're just changing the screen. There we go.
All know smoking causes cancer. Most of us know too much sun does as well. But did you know alcohol causes at least 7 different types of cancer? Here's how. Research has shown even small amounts of alcohol can increase your cancer risk. The more you drink, the greater the risk. All alcoholic drinks, regardless of whether it's beer, wine, or spirits, contain ethanol. When your liver breaks down ethanol, it creates a toxic byproduct called acetaldehyde. Your body works hard to get rid of this substance quickly, but when acetaldehyde builds up, it can cause permanent and irreversible DNA damage. This makes it harder for cells to repair themselves and leads to abnormal or damaged cells multiplying and forming tumours. Alcohol also affects hormones, which can particularly impact women, trans, and gender diverse people as it increases estrogen levels. Estrogen normally assists with the growth and development of breast tissue, but elevated levels can increase the risk of breast cancer. Finally, contact with alcohol can damage cells in the mouth, throat, and esophagus. It can also act as a solvent, making it easier for other cancer-causing substances, like tobacco, to be absorbed into cells in these parts of the body. For helpful ways to cut back and to find support services, head to fair.org.au/resources.
All right. So there we go. I'll share some of those links with you later. So there you got an idea of how alcohol can break down the body. Certain substances, carcinogenic substances within the body, making it easier to be absorbed, as well as increasing estrogen levels, reducing, again, your gut bacteria and lowering your immune system. So many areas that can be affected. So right across the board, it seems quite too much, to be comfortable with. And so alcohol in any of its form can be detrimental. So if you have at least 3 drinks per week, it increases a woman's risk for breast cancer. 2 or more alcoholic drinks per day will double the risk of benign tumors of the colon. And especially if you're not having sufficient fruit, vegetables, peas, beans, nuts, and seeds. All right, so if colon cancer or colon mass can be increased. Now, to reduce mood swings or insomnia that might result from alcoholism, individuals may counter that with vitamin B3 or niacin. And to protect the liver from damage by alcohol, you have vitamins such as A, C, E, magnesium, selenium, zinc. Now, we're not saying this to say, go ahead, have your drink, and then look for these supplements. That's not the answer. It is for your recovery, to help you to recover from damage to the liver, from getting your sleep back and so forth. That's what we will want to see. Can you quit? Yes, you can. And the diet plays a huge role in detoxifying our body. A whole food plant-based diet. Stay away from the meat substances. You don't want to have heavily spiced or seasoned foods because that just opens up your appetite for the alcohol. It's quite the highly seasoned foods can play a role on domineering your nervous system and heightening your sensitivities there, and also making you want more of that, and you can resort to alcohol. What about other psychoactive substances? Coffee, tobacco, alcohol, they are on the same wavelength. And so you want to get away from alcohol, then don't have the coffee, don't have the tobacco. Eat at regular meal times, have a good breakfast, have a good salad with your lunch, include whole grains and legumes, and eat no dinners late in the night, and drink lots of water. All these will help you from a dietary standpoint. What about physical activity? Yeah, get moving, get physical, walking, swimming, just being in the gym, doing the weights and so forth. Whatever game activities you might be engaged in, just be physical. Practice deep breathing. And that's super important to get more oxygen, fresh air in your bloodstream. Rest regularly. 8 hours at night is what you're looking to target. Hydrate, such as going to the spa, having different therapies, your contrast shower, your body scrubs. Having a full body massage is quite relaxing and can help you in a time of stress as opposed to looking for the alcohol drink. And then relaxation techniques, listen to music and looking at your environment, doing things that are quite relaxing. What about psychological treatment? You want to strengthen your willpower. Have affirmation statements. What your dream is, what you want to accomplish, and how you're going to get there. And taking steps each day in getting into the direction you want to see yourself into. So doing that, then be patient with yourself. It change, yes, but it's progressive. It would not happen overnight. Your cravings might still be there, but you conquer day after day. And then you keep a positive mental disposition and accepting yourself, self-acceptance that you can do this, you can overcome, and trusting in divine power can be tremendous in helping you because God has promised to help, and He loves to help when you call upon Him. There are resources that you can learn more to work and help yourself or even others in recovering from addictions and recovering from alcohol consumption. Adventist Recovery Ministries Global, they have an addiction program where they seek to help individuals to overcome. And then FAIR, it's an Australian unit, and it's called Foundation for Alcohol Research and Education. So a whole website packed with resources that you would find quite helpful, training tools and all of that will help you to work with others. All right. Question. Okay. So we are looking next at caffeine. How does that impact our health in a real way? So when you think about tea, coffee, and cocoa, what's similar is that there is an alkaloid content, and alkaloids tend to be toxic to the human body. And here is the chemical structure for tea. Here's a chemical structure for chocolate. Here's a chemical structure for caffeine and coffee. And if you look, they're quite similar. between chocolate and coffee. Look at these, quite similar, quite similar, quite similar on the bottom area. It's really the top that just has some minor variations in these chemical structures. So with that, we gotta show caution. They all have caffeine in them and could affect us. What does caffeine do? It increases a woman's risk for breast cancer, breast lumps. You find that green tea, chocolate, energy drinks all come into there. Cola drinks. They can, you have lumps in your breast, check your tea consumption with caffeine in it. Then energy drinks tend to break down the kidneys and the bladder. Caffeine on a whole affecting the bladder. And lots of times individuals are drinking these energy drinks for whatever reason, not understanding that they are breaking down the health of the kidneys in a short space of time. It doesn't take long. And then you now have an additional concern where you have kidney failure or kidney disease, and it seems to be progressing unless you work hard to correct that. And then there's a nervous reaction in the stimulation to the central nervous system. Caffeine tends to cause this nervous reaction. You find that the individual hand might be shaking, and not until they get that cup of coffee will it stop. Highly addictive. There is an elevation of blood pressure. The blood pressure is elevated, and it is a stimulant. Now, caffeine may be used as a medicine, but should not be part of your diet. So some people might be on a painkiller, on a diuretic, on a cold remedy. When it comes to weight control, there's so many other things that you can do to achieve weight loss as opposed to using caffeine. So just be mindful that whenever you see it, try to use different alternatives as opposed to using caffeine. It can also lower your glucose levels on a continuous basis. So when we think about the coffee, we need to know that there is also cancer-causing agents in our coffee. Yeah, it can damage the DNA in our cells. Once we have cellular damage, DNA damage, that then can be replicated in cells that has no purpose, has no function, not sure because the DNA, the brain of it is gone, and therefore that will be a cancer cell for you that can grow into tumors. Then your caffeine can increase one's risk for cancer of the ovaries, the bladder in women, for the men, the prostate, and it can even contribute to peptic ulcers and osteoporosis. So all those stomach issues, watch the caffeine content. You could create a peptic ulcer, bone-related issues, because caffeine tends to cause frequent urination, and with that, you find that calcium deposits goes out with it. So brittle bones, weak bones, as a result of drinking too much coffee. Now, what other cancer we see here? Of the breast, the pancreas, the colon can increase with coffee consumption. Now, bladder cancer. If you are consuming coffee 2 or more cups in a day, your risk is doubled for getting bladder cancer. So you'll have 2 times the risk. If you have 2 or more cups of coffee in a day, you have a 70% increased risk of getting colon cancer. A 70% increased risk for colon cancer. So you don't want to get bladder cancer holding on to your coffee cup. It wouldn't be joy at that time. All right, neither colon cancer. You want to peel that cup so far. So let's not get into this. Let's say the no to the caffeine and the coffee. I just want to quickly look at theobromine and let you know that in here we have some danger as well. Yes, sweet looking, nice chocolate. Smells so good, but dangerous to our health. And this is one of the softer ones. People could say, I could understand the tobacco. I could understand the the cigarette smoking. I could understand the coffee and the green tea and the black tea and all of those things, but my chocolate, oh no. How many of you drink chocolate tea on a daily basis? And you know the nice Caribbean chocolate stick, where when you grate that and you put it in a pot, it smells so good. You can see the oils in it, the little cocoa oil in it just floating at the top, and it's waste hot cup of chocolate on a rainy day. Nothing sounds better, but it can be hurtful. So, do you know that chocolate has caffeine in it? It does. This comes from the US Department of Agriculture, where they have certain listings of different components in food. And right here, caffeine. How many milligrams in dark chocolate but coated coffee beans? Okay, 336 for one serving. And then you have the Coca-Cola, those black soft drinks that individuals like to drink, and the energy drinks. In one bottle that you would consume at 16 fluid ounces has 163 milligrams of caffeine in there. No wonder it can hurt the body so hard. For your bladder and your kidneys, so much caffeine, and you're drinking the whole, the whole bottle multiple times in a day, especially the energy drinks or the Coca-Cola. Folks are just killing those things. Then the energy drink here again, Rockstar, AMP. You find desserts and mousse prepared from chocolate. Let's see, chocolate. Okay, so this is looking at tea. Tea has, like, in 1 teaspoon, 40 milligrams of caffeine. Dark chocolate, okay, dark chocolate, where you have a 60 to 69% of chocolate or cacao solids, you have 24 milligrams per ounce. And that's huge. 1 ounce will give you 24 milligrams of caffeine, and you don't want to have, nobody drinks 1 ounce of caffeine. No one drinks 1 ounce of caffeine. And 24, understanding how this fits into prostate cancer, where those who average 20 milligrams or more of theobromine, we look at that, but if you had 20 milligrams or more of theobromine and caffeine, you can double your risk of prostate cancer, right? And so you want to watch this, and all the Nestle Crunch bar, all these little snack foods, Mars bar, and so forth, the numbers come down, but just to let you know that it still has caffeine in there. Chocolate chips, cookies, and so forth. 3 cookies. Well, maybe you eat 3 alone, or what about if you had more? So theobromine is another substance in chocolate that can be toxic. And when we say chocolate, it's a chocolate bar, the Nutella, the Ovaltine, the Nesquik, the Milos, and all of those chocolate drinks and items. You put it in the cake and in the pastry items, it's still in there. And theobromine found in the cocoa bean. And also cocoa powder can vary in the amount of theobromine, which is a substance found in the cocoa bean. The more dark the chocolate is, the more theobromine you can find, even about up to 10 times more than milk chocolate. You find dark chocolate has more theobromine in it, 10 times more than milk chocolate. Just to show you, dark chocolate values of theobromine in here, and it comes down the scale. 1 chocolate wafer having 21 milligrams of theobromine in there, 21, and you need as much as 20 milligrams. That can be enough on a consistent basis to cause prostate cancer. 20, so 20 and more. So these are really putting us at risk for certain cancers. Prostate cancer, you see 20 or more of theobromine in a day doubles your risk for prostate cancer, not just getting it, doubles that risk. And there's another cancer-causing agent in chocolate, alpha-methyl benzoyl alcohol, and that's one we want to watch. So with that, we can say no to these substances and be able to save and prevent some of these conditions that can be impacting us. Now, I just want to show you here our promise for the week as we go to the word. James 4:10, humble yourselves before the Lord and he shall lift you up. Lift you up. Humble yourselves before the Lord and he shall lift you up. When we look at some of these things that we might be consuming, it's by the grace of God that we are saved from the conditions that we are exposed to. And therefore, we need to recognize that we need God's help. So we humbly ask God to remove all of our shortcomings as we seek to make better decisions when it comes to our choices and our health and what we consume, and know that He has promised to help us. Our recipe for the week is quite interesting. It's a 3-bean salad, and you may have heard about this, but give it a try. You want cooked garbanzo, which is this one. Some societies, you call it chana, or chickpea. So garbanzo beans and 1 cup of cooked garbanzo, 1 cup of cooked green beans, 1 cup of cooked kidney beans, a 1/2 cup of fresh lemon juice, that's optional. You can have in there 1/4 cup of chopped up bell peppers. That can give it such nice, rich flavor. And you want to go for the red bell pepper. And then 1/4 cup of chopped onions. And you sort of turn that, sprinkle of the pink Himalayan sea salt to taste. Now, when you cook these items, put no seasonings to them. You just want to have it plain so that when you add your flavor of the bell pepper, the onion, the salt, it can have a nice flavor. You're going to make this, put it in the refrigerator for overnight, so it sort of like marinates the flavor. And then the next morning you can take it out and let it cool before serving. You can also add some sliced olives to that and give it such another color and make it quite exciting and flavorful. Just before serving, you can add your olives. So that's a 3-bean salad. I challenge you to go try it and enjoy. Let us know how it works for you. So we've come to the end of this presentation this evening, and now we open up for any questions that you may have. Okay, so do we have any questions based on what was discussed? Oh, others. Okay. All right, so maybe we don't have questions this evening. Some of you may have seen some of this information before. For some of you, it might be quite new.
Good night.
Hi, good night.
I'm driving, so I'm taking a chance. So if tea and cocoa and chocolate is not good to consume, what can you have for breakfast? When I say herbal teas, peppermint tea, what?
Yeah.
What can we have?
Yes, you can have peppermint. You can do lemongrass. You can have chamomile, any of those, a cup of ginger tea. It depends on what your liking is. So any of those will work well, but you remember to have them at the start of the meal, and where you drink first and then we eat. So have your tea at the start of the meal. Sometimes some folks like something hot in the morning, and so if you had that, then you wait 15 minutes, giving it some time for that liquid to be absorbed in your stomach and to move along. and then you begin to eat your food, your fruit and your food or whatever you may have. So those are some examples of those teas and what we can have. Okay, so some might be able to do some hibiscus tea or anything that you might like. So yeah, it's quite a different concept, you know, moving around from getting something out of a can and mixing it, stirring it. It's different from the way grandma used to eat breakfast, but yeah, sometimes, you know, the older folks would have had all those bush teas too, and we think with a little bit more finances, we're able to afford some of these items, but it's not healthy. It rarely brings about conditions. I actually knew of a gentleman who drank coffee every day, and he got bladder cancer. And until he started to pass clots of blood in his urine, and that would just come. And when he got checked out, it was bladder. And he said, you know, I was impressed to stop the coffee just before I got that result, and I switched to cocoa. I was like, no, no, no. You know, it does the same harm to the body. And then many times our ladies are not drinking coffee. They're not drinking the caffeinated tea, but they're having chocolate, Swiss Miss, and chocolate teas in whichever form. And they are getting lumps in their breast just the same. And that's something new for them to, that would be a challenge to remove that lump. So, yep.
I have another question. What are your thoughts on decaffeinated teas, like decaffeinated green tea and black teas and stuff like that?
Okay, good question. The decaffeinated teas, they still have some measure of caffeine in them. And therefore, it is still going to be an issue for us in the long run, because usually it's something that individuals would be consuming repeatedly. It can also impair your sleep, you know, and your restful time at night. So we still want to stay away from the decaffeinated. Now, I know in today's society, we have a lot of folks who are talking about green tea having benefit and so forth because of the polyphenols. And it does. The thing is that there are other aspects to it that can be that can have negative impact on the body. So we want to watch that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Any other question? You could simply unmute. Oh my screen has gone frozen.
Dr. Nash, I find it interesting that the doctors will tell you that the dark chocolate is better for you, but from your presentation, it shows us that the dark chocolate is not good for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you know, one of the things when they say it's good,
Looks like we lost her.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Would you repeat that, Dr. Nash? I guess I was in a bad spot.
Looks like we lost her. I don't see her on the screen anymore.
Oh, okay.
Give her a few minutes, come back.
Yeah, no.
Is anyone hearing anything?
Yes, we can hear you now. I can hear you now.
I can't hear anything. I can hear you.
Right, I can't hear Dr. Nash if she's saying anything.
Me either. Let me text her. Oh, I could just text in the chat here. Let's see.
I did in the chat, but I didn't, she didn't respond. But Princess, you can too, you can check with her as well.
I'm just gonna text her personally.
Okay.
There's a ghoulishness stroke to the Macquarie Republicans. It is such a stain on our history. I mean, you see them posted on the official GOP accounts, things like this from House Foreign Affairs. This is the official Republican account. It is a photo of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Kate Vance holding a casket and dancing while holding it.